you're recording, right? Yeah. Okay. Bismillah. Bismillah walhamdulillah. Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad. Sorry. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. The chapter that we started yesterday was the Bab al-Siddiq, and we talked about, or the chapter on being truthful, being honest. And we talked about how Imam Ghazali and other scholars explained that the levels of siddiq, it's not just about siddiq or truthfulness in speech, but it's rather far more deeper than that, about siddiq in our intentions, siddiq in what we say, siddiq in have we really reached the different levels of spiritual progressions? Tawakkul, do you truly have tawakkul, trust in God? Tawheed, do you truly see Allah as the only source and cause of everything? So we talked about siddiq, and we read one hadith, and we'll read one more hadith inshallah from this chapter. It is a short chapter, but we'll read one more hadith, and then we'll look at the next chapter inshallah ta'ala this morning. The next hadith is narrated by Muhammad. Now, the next hadith is narrated وقيل أبي الوليد سهل بن حنيف وهو بدري رضي الله عنه. So Sahl ibn Hunayf, he narrates this hadith. أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, that the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, he said, من سأل الله شهادة بصدق بلغه الله منازل الشهداء وإن مات على فراشه. This is a very, very beautiful hadith which combines two of the chapters that we studied. One chapter that we studied was about niyyah, and what we explained about intention is that intention is so important, is that it can make you reach levels that you actually haven't reached yet, right? It can make you reach, because it's about potential, it's about quwwah, what potential you have within you, not what you actually reach, because we don't have control over what we actually reach. We don't know when death will come. We don't know when these things will happen. So this hadith connects two things. Number one is intention. What is your intention for today? What is your intention for this week? What is your intention for your life this year? What do you intend to get from this year? But the next part is, are you true in that intention? And that's what we spoke about yesterday from Imam Ghazali's breakdown. Look at this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Man salallaha ta'ala shahada. Whoever asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to die as a martyr, right? And that's a high level in spirituality, to sacrifice your own life, to give your own sake, your life for the sake of the deen. I mean, even in our country, look how we value veterans, right? And anyone who served time. You go straight in the front of the line, you get on the plane before everybody else, right? You get all these benefits because we understand what it means to put your life in front of everything, right? So similarly, the deen has the very same concept, that shahada is the highest rank because you gave everything. You gave all there is to give. And you didn't do it for the benefits or the college, free college, right? You did it for just the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So man sa'ala, because nowadays it's kind of like, I don't know what else I'm going to do. I might as well go, get all those benefits, right? You don't get that with this. This is just only for Allah. That's it. So anyways, the hadith says, Man sa'ala Allah ta'ala shahada. Whoever asks Allah for martyrdom, to die as a martyr, bisiddiqin, and that's the key. The hadith says bisiddiqin, but truly, truly asking, like they truly desire that from Allah. Ballagha Allahu manazil ash-shuhada. Allah already will put you at the level on Yawm al-Qiyamah with the level of the shuhada. Wa in mata ala firashihi. Even if this person dies on their bed. On their bed means if you were on your bed, you weren't out there in the field. You were at home, right? So bed means you're at home. You're not out there on the field with everyone else. But the person's intention was so strong that regardless of where this person dies, because it's not in their control, all they had control over is like, Ya Allah, I don't know what circumstance you'll place me in, but my intention is I truly desire this. And not only do I desire, I truly, and that's the reason why Imam Nawawi, he put this hadith in this chapter, because it's all about the sincerity. It's all about the true desire for that thing. So there are many hadith that echo this meaning. What meaning? That if you are somewhere you're not supposed to be, but you truly wish you weren't there, Allah will treat you as if you weren't there. Allah, so this is very deep, because there's sometimes you're in a meeting, you're somewhere, you're like, man, this is not good for my deen, man. I do not want to be here right now. But I can't leave. I'm going to lose my job, or I'm going to lose this, or whatever. I can't not be there. And so the hadith it should come in Riyadh al-Saliheen. The hadith tells us that if that is truly your feeling inside, Allah treats you as someone who wasn't present at that gathering. And the inverse is true as well. Sometimes you're in good company, but you wish you were in bad places. Man, right? So Allah will say, I'll treat you as if you were there as well, even though you weren't there. So the point I'm trying to highlight is that the reality of where you're at, or the reality of what you accomplish in life, is not as important as the intention, the true intention. Now, obviously, if the intention is true, you're going to take all the steps that are necessary, but you still don't control the outcome. And that's what the Prophet is communicating to us in this hadith, that you don't control the outcome. What you control is how firm and strong your intention can be behind something. And so that's what's being communicated in this hadith. And so that's the end. We're going to finish this chapter and go to the next chapter. And I'm just going to introduce the chapter and maybe share one hadith from it. Or actually, I'm just going to introduce the chapter. Chapter number 5 is called murakaba. Murakaba. So Imam Nawawi is using a term, and this is deep. We'll only be very brief on this one. Murakaba is really heavy. The murakaba is a term which, so say you're trying to get your home, your budget at home in line, right? So you're trying to get better with your spending. You know how we get all those Netflix and all these different things that are taking money out. You just, before you know it, money is gone, right? So you're trying to get your money back in line. You're trying to. So the first step you're going to actually do is something called muhasaba. You're going to actually look, where's everything going? You're going to do accounting. You're going to look at all your bank statements and see where everything is going. Spiritually speaking, this is called muhasaba. All it means is you're taking account of yourself. And Umar ibn Khattab, he said, "Hasibu anfusakum qabla an tuhasab." Like, take yourself to account before God takes you to account, right? Before you get audited, do your taxes, get everything in line. So that first step is called muhasaba. Now, after you've done that though, like say this month we did our muhasaba. You and the family sat down. You're like, all right, where's all our money going? You got everything in line. And you're like, okay, these are the expenses. This is where everything is going. Now, throughout the next month, you actually have to live according to that, right? This next step of watching yourself and watching how you spend, this is called murakaba. Watching the self. Watching, being aware of what you're doing throughout this day, throughout that, whatever it is, right? It's just like another good example is like the Fitbit thing. You know, like when 10,000 steps was big, it's kind of dying off now, but whatever. It was huge, 10,000 steps, right? So everyone's doing muhasaba, how many did I get in? But throughout the day, murakaba is happening because you keep checking, yo, where am I at? Okay, let me get up real quick and walk real quick back and forth. So that's the murakaba aspect. So listen to this. Imam Ghazali says this. This is heavy. Imam Ghazali breaks it down this way. He says, if you're trying to reach somewhere spiritually, the very first thing you're going to have to do is muhasaba. That's the first thing. You got to be like, yo, what's going on? Where am I at? Next thing, number 2, and we'll stop after this. Musharita, which is from the word shart, or condition. You have to lay down conditions. Okay, this month we're not eating out at all this month. This month we're not eating out at all. That's it. We're eating at home. We're saving that money. That's a condition right there. Then he says the next step is muraqaba. Muraqaba. Now we got to watch ourselves. We got to watch ourselves. Keep checking those bank statements. Like, what were you spending? What was your wife spending? What was the kids spending? Now you're watching. What's the next thing? Mujahada. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. You're going to be really hungry at lunch. You want to eat out, but your wife made you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, so that's what you're eating tonight. So you got to do mujahada. You got to struggle. Then, mu'ataba. Yu'atibu is to kind of like blame yourself when you mess up. Oh man, what'd you do? That was wrong. You weren't supposed to do that. And then the last step, he says, is murakaba. If you do go out and eat out that one day, now you got to punish the self. You got to maybe like cut back, fast a day. Do something to make the nafs feel like, that was wrong. These are 6 steps that Imam Ghazali gives towards that spiritual reform. And Imam Nawawi, brilliantly, he puts muraqabah right after siddiq, which ironically is the exact same order that Imam Ghazali used in his book when he was structuring his book as well. Which seems to tell me that if you're trying to gain this level of siddiq, what shows when you're true is when you put action to word. When you put action to word. And so don't talk to me about you want to save money. Where's your budget? What are you doing? Oh yeah, we're trying to save up. What are you doing? Have you put steps into process? So it seems to me by his placement that he's trying to say, yeah, you could be siddiq all you want with words, but let's follow that up with actions and see if you're going to actually take the action steps towards realizing that thing. And so we'll read this chapter tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. But I just wanted to introduce this concept of muraqaba, which is, it's quite interesting. I'll just share one thing. They actually say that there's muhasaba, muraqaba, then muhasaba again. Right? So you do muhasaba, which is you take yourself to account, then you're on guard. But at the end of the day, you got to actually look at yourself again. Like, okay, what happened actually today? There's a pre and then there's a post, kind of like accounting, you could say. So may Allah give us tawfiq. Inshallah ta'ala, we will pick up from here tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. All right, jazakallah khair, subhanakallahumma bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk, subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala al-mursaleen, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. And tomorrow prayer is going to be